A homeless man was sitting on a cold and dimly lit street corner. It was dusk, and people were rushing past him. Some threw coins into the cup in front of him, and others just stepped over him as if he wasn't there. Most of them didn't even acknowledge his presence. They just kept walking. We can see a close-up of the cup. It's made of cardboard and is filled to about half with coins. This homeless man's name was James, and he had been living on the streets for several years. He'd lost everything after his wife passed away, had no one else to turn to, and ended up on the streets. He pulled out his last sandwich from his bag, unwrapped it, and stared at it for a moment. Then he noticed something. His bread was completely stale, was hard and dry, so much so that he could barely bite through it. But then something caught his eye. In the corner of his eye, he saw a small, dark shape dart across the street and hide behind a trash bin. As he got closer, he realized that it was a dog, a small brown dog with floppy ears. It looked dirty and hungry, and James knew exactly how that felt. As James got closer to the dog, he whispered softly so as not to scare it away. "Hey, little guy, you all right?" First, the dog just stayed still, tail between its legs, trying to make itself as small as possible. But as James kept talking to it, it slowly started to come out. After a while, the dog slowly approached him and sniffed his hand. Then it looked up at him with big pleading eyes and barked once. It was a very scared dog, but also a very beautiful one. So James sat down on the pavement and offered the dog half of his sandwich. At first, the dog hesitated, unsure if it should trust him or not. But it was so hungry that it eventually started eating. It ate so quickly that James almost had to stop it because it might choke. But when he saw how fast it was eating, he let it be. Once the dog finished eating, it looked up at James again and barked twice. This time it sounded more confident, and it ran away again. This time it returned with an old ripped backpack. It dropped it at James' feet and wagged its tail. Then it barked again and went back to the road. Perhaps it wanted James to follow it, so he did. But where were they going? Was this dog leading him somewhere? And now it seems that the dog wants James to go inside the building with him, so he does. And what he sees makes him sad. It's a group of cats and dogs that are all looking at him sadly. It turns out that this dog is actually the leader of this pack, and he wanted James to share his food with everyone. That's exactly what he does. They spent the rest of the night playing and eating together. By the end of it, James felt happier than he had in years. The next morning, James woke up and couldn't believe how great he felt. He was so happy that he had met this dog. But soon after waking up, James noticed that the dog was missing. He called out for him, but there was no answer. Soon, James started to get worried. Where could he be? Had he run away? Just then, James heard some people talking nearby. He turned around and listened. They were talking about a dog that had stolen a backpack and some cash from a store. James' heart sank. Could it be Max? When James found Max, he was sitting in front of the store with the backpack at his paws. When he saw James coming, Max jumped up and barked happily. He wagged his tail and licked James' face. He was so happy to see him again. But then James noticed that the backpack was ripped and some cash was spilled on the ground. It dawned on him that Max had taken the backpack from here. He sighed and shook his head. Despite being homeless himself, James understood that stealing was wrong. And what was he supposed to do? He couldn't keep the money. That would be wrong. But what if he turned it in? While James was thinking about what to do, Max licked his hand as if to say, "Don't worry, I'll be okay." Suddenly, James knew what he had to do. He picked up the backpack and walked towards the nearest police station. But when he got there, he noticed something. The police officers inside didn't seem to care. They just told him to leave. So he did. James walked back home, defeated. Maybe he should have just kept the money. It wasn't his fault after all. He hadn't stolen it. On the way back, he passed by the same store where Max had taken the backpack. As he walked past, he noticed a TV inside showing a news report. James stopped in his tracks. He turned around and looked in. The news report was about a delivery driver who had been robbed while making a delivery. The driver had lost not only the company's money, but also her life savings. If James didn't do something, she could lose her house. He knew he had to help her, not only because it was the right thing to do, but also because he felt guilty for not doing anything after Max had brought him the backpack. James took a deep breath and walked back to the store. This time, he walked in. A woman stood behind the counter. She looked stressed and tired. Her name was Sarah. James cleared his throat and said, "I'm sorry to bother you, but I think I found something that might be yours." He opened the backpack and showed it to her. "Is this yours?" Sarah's eyes widened. "Yes, it's mine. Where did you find it?" James explained to her what had happened and showed her the cash. "I found this in the bag too," he said. "Is this yours?" Sarah nodded. "Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I thought I'd never see this again. How can I ever thank you?" she asked. "It was no trouble," James said, smiling. "It was the dog who found it, not me. Well, either way, I owe you one." "Here, take this," Sarah said, reaching for her wallet. She took out a crisp $500 bill and handed it to James. James' eyes widened. No, I couldn't," he said, refusing the money. "Found it, so it's yours to lose." "No, you must take it. You found it. Without you, I wouldn't have gotten it back. I'd probably lose my job. My boss was very angry that the money was gone. But now, he's very happy that it's back. He's given me a raise because he says I'm a trustworthy employee. That's all because of you and your dog." James was touched by her words. Couldn't believe that someone would give him $500 just because he had found her backpack. News of James' honesty spread like wildfire. Soon, everyone in town knew about the homeless man who had returned the stolen cash. An animal shelter in town, touched by James' story, offered him a job. They wanted to honor him for his kindness and compassion. From that day on, James was no longer homeless. He had a roof over his head and food on the table. But what made him the happiest was knowing that he had done the right thing. As for Max, well, he became the star of the local animal shelter. He loved greeting visitors and wagging his tail. He had found his forever home, all thanks to his good deed. One day, James was walking Max outside the animal shelter. They were both happy. James couldn't believe how far they had come. Suddenly, James stopped. He turned to Max and smiled. "You know, we make a pretty good team, you and I," he said. Max barked happily, licking James' face. They were best friends. They had helped each other when times were tough, and now they were looking forward to a bright future together. And that is the story of the homeless man who shared his food with a stray dog and ended up changing both their lives forever.
Do you think James did the right thing by turning in the money? Let us know in the comments below.
And don't forget to like the video and share it with your friends.